Hello. Hey, I need to get a bit better at these intros. I need to just go slapping right in and be like, "Good morning. This is about boxing." Mm. Well, sort of, if you watch them, there's sort of a pattern. It takes me maybe fucking 10 minutes of dithering about and making no sense whatsoever, and then I hit my stride. I get into the flow, and that's when these juicy nuggets of wisdom, power, and just essential knowledge for any man, be he a boxer or a boxing fanatic, a musician, or a fucking just a big fan, you know. We're all fans of something, aren't we? I just listened to some ABBA Gold, which usually I would listen to ABBA, that Gold thing, the best stuff basically. Brilliant, and like I would listen to the first half of it, which is all the big ones, like all the hits. And then it gets into all these weird B sides and stuff, and it's like I don't know if I'm really ready to make friends with all these new songs, and invest my time and my patience in getting to know these songs. And but I stuck them on last night. I put the whole thing in shuffle, so I was getting a mix up. I was getting a few of the hits, so I was placated. I was happy enough. And every now and then I was getting one of these lesser known ones. I was going, you know what? That's not too bad. There's a fucking airplane coming. Hang on. Oh, serious. So we just closed the window on that. Yeah, a couple of things I want to talk about today. ABBA, obviously, because they're just a great band. Um, as everybody knows, like everybody knows. I want to talk about Amir Khan. I wanted to do a wee rundown, get the box rack up, and do a wee rundown of Amir Khan's of his fight history and just his record, the guys he fought. Um, Interesting career. He had some great wins. He had some really good wins against B-level fighters as well. His record's great. He has some bad losses. And it's not even that he lost, he just looked so bad, because when he got caught with a big shot, he was doing the Bambi dance or whatever it is you want to call it. He always got back in there, didn't he? And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the gig that I went to the other night. I want to talk about the Morrison gig. Um, it was great, I already spoke about it a little bit, but somebody's asked me to talk about it some more, so I have to do it. Otherwise, you know, so it has to be done. Um, I don't know what to say really. We got there. We got there a little bit late. It started 8 o'clock, ran through to 9:30, and this was on Thursday. Just passed there at the Ulster Hall, historic boxing venue in Belfast. So we'd missed the first song or so, and it was all seating. Usually, the main area, the balconies is seated. The main floor is all standing usually, but it being Van Morrison, quite a few geriatrics at it, not to sound disrespectful to old people. I just like that word, geriatrics. Yeah, so anyway, it was mostly old folks. There were a lot of young guys there as well, though, myself and my mate in our mid 30s, there were a lot of guys that age as well. And it was a funny wee kind of demographic, You only really seen when everybody was standing up to leave at the end. You can nearly tell a Van Morrison fan by looking at him. But yeah, we had missed the first song. We got in. He was halfway through the second song maybe, and the band was great. And the second song come to an end, and And Van says, we're gonna play songs mostly off the new album tonight. We hope you don't mind, you know. I was like, oh, okay, this new album that none of us have been listening to. Well, I'm sure quite a few of the people there have the hardcore fanatics have been listening to this stuff. I stuck it on one day and I didn't wasn't doing much for me to be honest. Massive Van Morrison fan. I'm sure if I had spent more time with the album, I would have really got into it. But to me, straight off, it just sounded a bit dry. As some of his more recent albums have appeared to sound to me, I think that's a lot to do with the he's pumping them out so quickly, and it's this modern setup that he's working with, and he's an old guy as well, so it's like you don't really have the time to work with a band for a long time and work on arrangements, and then bring those arrangements in and stuff, or spend a long time in the studio working up arrangements and things like this. Obviously, you listen to the likes of the Moon Dance album, which is what all time classic album. Um, regularly rated quite high in your Rolling Stone list and stuff like that. I think that album and Astro Weeks are usually right up there, you know. The arrangements and the playing, the sort of ensemble playing on the Moondance album, and a lot of his early albums, a lot of his mid-period albums, a lot of their later albums too. It's just lovely. It's like the piano's placed where it is, the guitar. It's not your typical rock thing where the guitar is going. It's not like that. The guitar is quite tasteful and clipped. Comes in every now and then. It's like bing. You know what I mean? A little bit of silence there. Just let that go. Let the piano man's taking care of things there. You don't need to be hammering away. Just bing. So that it's quite tasteful and it's choice, and there's a bit more discipline in that type of playing. But again, if you're in a rock band and you only have a guitar, a bass, and drums, and maybe two guitars, pianos. I think Rick Beato said it the other day. He was looking at stats for the last year or so in music. Pianos aren't really there anymore. You don't see keys in a lot of popular bands and a lot of rock bands and stuff. It's all guitar, 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 and it's the same with horns. We don't really see horns unless it's jazz and stuff. I suppose in the days of your Motown and your soul music and stuff like that, that was there, and then even into like the ska bands and stuff, the horns would have been in there. And of course, that was a big feature of all the Van Morrison sort of classic material down the years. The horn section was part of the Van's sound, and I sort of made an observation while watching all this, and I thought to myself, I was watching the band operate, and you know, Van started out in the show bands, as a lot of the great Irish artists did from that era, from the 60s. Show bands was the big thing in Ireland. Now, it's kind of like guys that play on the pub scene now, just to make money. Because if you're going out playing original music, there's a big market for original music in terms of there's an appetite for it and it's supported and we like to see it, but there's not, you can't really make a living from it unless you're one of those lottery winners that you have to be very good and you have to be very lucky in order to make money from playing original music. So it's got to be a passion project, which means you probably have a day job, which means you can't put everything that you have into doing this stuff. So a lot of these guys were, Rory Gallagher started in the show bands as well. Um, my auntie was a really good singer, is a really good singer still, like amazing. She played in the show bands in her day. She was quite well known. Um, and she was on that scene as well. And I think in a way, Van, because in the show bands, you were expected to be able to do, if you're a musician, if you're a singer, and in the case of my auntie there, you're the singer, you're the front person, you're doing that. But like I think Van has talked about it in the past, where you had to be fit to jump on to a bit of drums, you had to be fit to sing a couple, you had to be fit to play guitar, you played a harmonica, you played saxophone, you had to be fit to do different bits and pieces. And I think with Van, it was similar to the Beatles. You know, when they went over to Hamburg, you know, they weren't playing original Beatles material. They were playing all the different covers, and it was about putting on a good show. Van went to Germany similarly with one of the show bands that he was in those early days. I can't remember the names of all these bands. I think Van described it almost as being like boot camp, like preparation, because he was over at one of these port towns in Germany. He says there were American GIs that were there, that were stationed there and stuff, and they would get up and sing a couple. He says, you know, there was some great singers. He says there was some, you know, black guys, GIs, which I read in the book, not directly from Van Morrison, but some of these books, there's a bit of conjecture and speculation and stuff. Could well be true, but apparently Van liked hanging out with some of these black guys because he could relate to them musically, or maybe they seen him singing on stage. They go, "Hey, this guy's the real deal," type of thing. But you know, it's obviously it's not black and white. you know, Van says that there were some great white singers there that got up as well. Um, Here's me sounding very race obsessed again. I should really gotta be probably not get so caught up on that, because you know it doesn't really matter if you're a good musician, a good fighter, good at whatever you do. You could be black, white, pink, purple, red, green, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're good, you're good. You know, we can look at your culture and all of these different things. It doesn't really matter that much. If you're good, you're good. Yeah. So Van Damme's his bands have always had horns in them. He's you know developed, of course, over the years. He's been known always as a great uh, band leader and somebody that brought great groups together. There was the Caledonia Soul Orchestra, you know, which is kind of thought of as one of the greatest bands that's ever been. Um, I think there's a general consensus on that. And again, you know, I go back to my trusty memory banks for every Van Morrison interview that I've ever read, seen, or listened to. And I think the guy was saying, well, you know, Van, you've always brought these great bands together and such and such. And Van was saying, yeah, yeah, I know I have done that, but fucking hell, it's like you get one band together and next thing somebody leaves and you have to fucking get a whole new band. And he says it's quite difficult to do. Um, but yes, the connection that I made then, watching him operate up on stage, and he would be giving directions to the band, he had hand signals. If he felt the tempo was different, you could see him getting frustrated, and he would be flicking down and say, this is the tempo. You're just slouching here. Get on it, get on it, get on it. And obviously, Van gets a bit of stick from outsiders, people that don't play music, or people that have run into him and found him to be a bit irate or something like that. But he's under a lot of pressure there, and he's the one it's his fucking name up there, you know what I mean? So he has to make sure that this thing's done right. And if he were to simply turn around to the guys and go, you know, and these guys are, you know, seasoned musicians, and go, oh, come on, guys, can we pick it up a little bit? You know, the guy would be like, oh, fuck that guy, I'm getting paid here, I'll be alright. The Van lays down the law, and he makes sure that the thing gets done right, which I think is a good thing, really. Um, you know, there's a film director, William Friedkin. He did The Exorcist. He did The French Connection and stuff. I read his book after seeing a couple of interviews of him on YouTube. I thought this guy was great. He was a director. You know, what am I getting into film directors about? I don't know. I just watched him talking, and I thought there's something in this, you know. And he said when he first started, he started out with TV studios and documentaries and stuff. That was his schooling before he got on to, you know, becoming a director and an auteur, as they say. And you know, he says the first day that he had to go on the floor and direct, he was sort of faffing about I was, he was afraid to step on this one's toes. And he says the manager fucking called him in, and he says to him, like, they're gonna hate you anyway. Go in there and fucking get that job done, and tell them what to fucking do. Yeah, you're not here to make friends. They're probably gonna fucking hate you anyway, you know. So forget that pussy fucking around. Go in and get the thing done. So I guess there's almost something honourable in the fact that here's somebody who's willing to risk being hated, detested, thought bad about, talk behind his back, but he's gonna allow that to happen to him in order that the finished product is great. Now I'm sure he still got on with the people that he worked with and stuff to a degree, but he had to have that iron fist approach. You know, sometimes like sometimes I'm sure his manager fucking put him in his place more than enough times. We all know how it is. There's hierarchies and there's structures socially, in the workplace. In everything. We all every what's the Dylan song? You gotta serve somebody. It may be the devil, maybe the Lord, maybe your fucking foreman. Maybe your wife. But we all gotta serve somebody at some point, and some point somebody's gonna serve you. Yeah. So, but it's about getting the job done right, isn't it? So Van's up there and he's making these hand signals, and it's coming to an instrumental section. And he's saying, "Oh, it's this guy. It's your turn." The keys player's on organ. Great fella, by the way, who was playing with Ronnie Greer and stuff. I think he played with Ken Haddock in the Empire. He used to play with him. John McCullough. I seen him in Bangor with the Ronnie Greer band a couple of, maybe last year. And this guy is just like, he's on the level of one of those guys that played with Muddy Waters. When he gets into a solo and he does these rhythmic things and the volume swell, and it's like, wow, this guy is above and beyond, And sure enough, he gets the gig with Van Morrison. So he was on the organ at one point, and Van was like doing this, and he jumped up from the organ and went and got behind the grand piano. The guitar player in the band seemed to serve almost like a not a drill sergeant, but he was like second in command in a way. Van was off doing something else. This guy was keeping everybody else on level. The drumming was great. The drumming was, to me, I mean, I always talk about Muddy Waters, but it was that kind of drumming. Not a, hard, heavy, sort of overbearing beat. It was subtle in a way, but had momentum and rhythm and stuff. It was quite an old school style of drumming, which I thought was quite nice. I mean, I'm sure obviously Van wanted things played a certain way, so he was like, I want you to listen to this guy, I want you to listen to this guy, I want you to listen to this. Okay, and this, do you hear that on that cut, what I'm saying there, that I know you're an amazing drummer, you're fit to do this, let's see if we can get this together. Yeah, the guy on bass was very good. Two backing singers, Dana Masters, great singer. Saw her playing the Mac once. She was really good. The other backing singer was quite good too. Dana Masters was sort of, you could sort of see that she had the seniority there. Maybe not in age, but she was kind of keeping things sweet that end, over at that end of the stage. And then you had a guy on saxophone, and the guy on saxophone I thought was great because, I mean, you sort of knew, like, if you got the gig playing with Van Morrison, and you're a modern saxophone player who's worth his grain of salt or whatever, right? You're probably a really good jazz player. Yeah, you can probably play that bebop stuff. You can probably get all out there Eric Dolphy style. You can probably do. You're probably a real virtuoso type of guy. But and this is where you have to credit the player as well, not just the band leader saying this is the style I would like you to play in, but he was fit to play in a more simplistic style, where the tone was more this sort of main thing, and it was almost like he was playing bass lines. He was doubling with the bass line at times. There was interweaving between the guitar player, this guy, they would come in and they would come out. Of course, there were times where Van would say, "This is your solo, this is your spot, this is your spot." But I mean, when it really come together, they were just reading each other and they were taking little chances. Saying, "Well, Van's in the middle of singing there. I'll slip this bit in, and me and the guitar player's got something going on here. The bass player, I'm doubling up his bass line. Great." He jumped on flute at one point towards the end, which of course is, you know, a sort of a mainstay of a lot of the more beautiful, poignant sort of Van Morrison numbers. You know, Van, even towards the end of the gig, he jumped on the guitar. Now, for someone who has what appears to be rudimentary technique on guitar, Van Morrison is so effective on guitar. He'll almost just mute a chord with this hand, you know, hold it down very sort of lightly. And he can a little rhythmic thing. And, you know, he brought the whole band down. They come down and it got into Astral Weeks territory. You know, probably a 1/4, I think 1/4, 1/4. Yeah, 1 chord, 4 chord, 1 chord. Something nice and, you know, it's all about the mood here. It's all about the touch. Here we go. Hypnotic thing, right? Which is obviously a Van Morrison trademark. You know, a few whispers. I got you back in a trance. Da 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 da. Doing this, doing that. That was beautiful. That was like, oh my god, we had to listen to all those songs off the new album, which were great, by the way. Like, fuck, we got this Astral Weeks moment. And of course, he came out and he played, you know, he played Gloria and stuff near the end. Baby, Please Don't Go, which was great. He got on the harmonica and stuff. Um, Van's a really great harmonica player. Obviously, I play harmonica, and you know, I don't rate myself as the better harmonica players than me around Belfast and stuff like that. But I'm quite well up on the history and stuff. You know, I know what a good harmonica player sounds like, and Van's good. Uh, I think he's a pocket player. You can just sort of hear from his tone and from the accuracy that he has when he's playing. Of course, he tongue blocks for, like, you know, splits and those little flicks and things. It's a bit unsettling. You know, I haven't watched a couple of videos back where I'm talking about these tongue flicks and it gets a bit greasy, you know. I try and avoid that in future, you know. But yeah. So I thought his playing was especially great when he got to Bright Side of the Road, which was a nice version. He upped the melody a bit. He brought it up, say like a third or a fifth or something. You know, same general idea, but it was up a few notes. And it was like, and the pace of the song, it was a bit, there was something different to it. But once you could sort of get over that after the, you know, the first couple of rounds, it was like, oh, right, yeah, Bright Side of the Road, okay, this is cool. Got to the harmonica solo. On record, he plays what I refer to as la riff, which is da 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 da, which is ba 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 ba. Should I grab my guitar? I think I should. Yes, so I mean on guitar, it's in the key C. I think that song's in. It's da 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 da, you know, or da 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 da. There's a few different ways into it, but it, you know, it's basically the same. Like, you can change one note here or one note there on the entry. It's the same thing. And the song was going at a right pace. He picked up the harp, he played it, and it was nice, man. Like, I don't know how he done that. I have to go away. Like, I can't really call myself a harmonica player until I learn to play that riff cleanly, properly, or maybe I can. I'm not gonna let that stop me doing anything. But you had to sort of give me a wee tip of the cap because it was like, wow, that's not easy to do, you know. Um, so yeah, in a strange way, the sense that I got was that Van Morrison almost still works in the show band tradition to a degree. If you look at other popular musicians, you look at someone like Elton John, say, right? He works with a bigger band as well. You know, amazing songwriter Elton John and Bernie Taupin is it the lyricist. Interesting songwriting partnership there. Um, you know, there are artists like this that play with a bigger band, like Sting, I suppose as well. But a lot of these guys sort of stick to like a rock format. And whether that's just out of handiness, whether that's just what they like. But I think Van, in a way, is carrying on that show band tradition, albeit doing his own music and doing stuff like that. I think a lot of the key lessons that he learned back then, he's still using them. You know what I mean? He still employs those techniques and those things that he learned. So I'm a bit greasy looking at, you know. I should really take a bit more pride in my appearance, shouldn't I? Just wearing my nightgown. I'll show you what I got on underneath here. Hagler Hearns, yeah. So boxing wise, there's some stuff coming up. Padraig McCrory is fighting. Is it Eduardo Berlanga? How do you call this guy? A Puerto Rican fella. You know, a lot of great fighters out of Puerto Rico. Tito Trinidad, Miguel Cotto. A lot of other guys who Wilfredo Gomez and Wilfred Gomez is it, and Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. Guys like this. Um, was there Benitez or somebody there as well? I don't know. I think Sugar Ray Leonard fought one of these guys for his first world title. Um, but there's, you know, Puerto Rico is a great, I was going to say great boxing town, but it's not a town, sure it's not. So this Berlanga guy supposedly is hot stuff, and Padraig McCrory, I think he went over to Germany, I think, and he beat somebody for the IBO light heavyweight title. Uh, Depending on who sees this and stuff, it was people that aren't boxing fans, you know, there's four main, four, no, three or four, three, four. There's four main divisions in, not four main divisions. There's four main governing bodies in boxing, which is why you have four world champions in each division, unless there is a unified belt holder or an undisputed, which means they own all four belts. So you've got WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF. Yeah. Now you also have the IBO, which is a lesser recognized, and I think at one point the WBO was also thought of. It wasn't quite in there. So the IBO in time, you never know. They might boost it up. I don't know what the story is with their organization, um, but it's still a good belt to get, especially for a guy from Belfast. You know, it's. And I was reading a bit about him and his story. You know, he still works as a doorman. He still has. I think he has a personal training business as well. He spends a lot of time with his family, so he still manages to apply himself full time to boxing, which is quite creditable. Creditable. That's a new word. So you gotta give the guy credit. And that kind of goes to show as well the reality of what it's like for a lot of boxers, you know, whose dads aren't famous or who aren't superstars with all the sponsors and stuff like this. They have to go out and work. They still need a full time wage. They've got families to feed them. They have to feed themselves. They have to pay their rent. They have to buy their supplements. They have to do this. They have to do that. So it's a tough game, like. But that was a light heavyweight. This is a super middleweight. He's come down in weight a bit. I think it's in Florida. I think that's this Saturday coming. So hopefully he can do something there. That would be good to see. It would be, well, they say a life changing win if he were to get it. Not to split hairs too much, but you know, when somebody approaches you and says, you know, this is life changing, son. Like, if you shake my hand, if you sign your name, this is life changing. We're talking life changing money here. I was like, right, to what degree? To what degree is this gonna change my life? What do you mean I'm gonna have an extra 20 quid a week so I can fucking, you know what I mean, get a few more beers at the weekend? No, this is gonna change your life, man. This is you have to be wary, don't you? You know, what's in it for you? Yeah. It's good to be trustworthy. There's a lot, or trusting. There's a lot of good people out there, but you have to question things too, don't you? So anyway, look, that's that. Like I say, my lovely auntie, who was an amazing singer, and whatever musical talent I got, probably comes from her. My mum's side of the family. I have an uncle on the other side too. He was a musician, you know, and quite an interesting guy, very creative, artistic guy as well. I probably get a lot from him, but I could look to any aunt, any uncle, you know, any member of my family. And you know, the more years you get on, you sort of go, holy shit, you know, there's something to be got from here. I think with people who are like, I say, like entertainers or artists or creative people in one way or the other, sometimes you think, oh, this has just come out of nowhere, you know, I've just been like born this way. But no, it's all there. So yeah, I think it's good to continue the tradition, and it's good stuff to be involved with, isn't it? So yeah, I'll play us out with a sing song. Alright. From the dark end of the street to the bright side of the road, I'm just trying to get warmed up while I sing. Little darling, come with me to the bright side of the road. Oh, little darling, take my hand. Won't you help me share my load? From the dark end of the street to the bright side of the road. Little darling, we come along. Baby, sometimes don't know why, won't know, yes. And time seems to go by so fast. In the twinkling of an eye, let's enjoy it while we can. Baby, help me shake my load. From the dark end of the street to the bright side of the road. Oh yeah. Little darling, we come along. Oh, baby, sometimes I don't know why. Don't know. Every time seems to go by so fast. Oh, in a twinkling of an eye, from the dark end of a street, oh baby, to the right side of the road. Little darling, come along to the bright side of the road. Do you know what? One more word, yeah? Van Morrison's voice is fucking stupendous, man. It is amazing. It is so good. And the guy's like nearly 80 and he's sharp as fuck. He's up there. Fair enough, he's got his wee sheets, he's got his lyrics there, and he's got his fella comes off stage and comes every time Van finishes. Your man comes and takes one of the sheets and goes, and the guy started fucking around. Van took one of the sheets and he just lashed it on. And then the guy was coming out, he mistimed it again, he was fucking up regularly, man. And Van was leaning down to get the saxophone and he was like, ah. He sort of got in the guy's road, he was like, what are you doing? I'm doing the thing. Why are you getting on the road? But Van's voice, yeah, I mean, to me, it just confirmed, you know, I kind of felt a bit silly saying, oh, he's up there on the level with a Frank Sinatra, and he fucking is. I don't care what anybody says, Van Morrison is the shit. Beautiful singer, man. Beautiful singer. You know, you have to go and listen to him. You have to go and see him in order to get what I mean. You know what I mean? Van, we salute you forever and amen. Yes.